There comes a moment in every person's life when they must dare to believe, not in the world they see, but in the world they feel, the world they know exists within. I stand before you today to remind you the only requirement for transformation is to act as if you have already made it. Close your eyes now, not literally, but inwardly. Close your eyes to the noise, to the doubts, to the seeming facts that bind you, and open the eyes of your imagination, for that sacred space within you is the birthplace of every miracle. Everything you desire already exists within the field of infinite possibility. It is not coming to you, it is waiting for you to claim it. Act as if you're already successful. Walk as if the world knows your name. Speak as if every word you utter is backed by certainty. Move as if the universe cannot help but bow to your vision. You assume the position, the posture, the peace of the one who knows it is done. Because when you persist in that inner knowing, when you dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, the world begins to mold itself around your assumption. Some will say, but I don't see it yet. I don't have the money, the opportunity, the love. To them I say, you are looking in the wrong direction. You are waiting for the mirror to smile before you do. Understand this. The outer world is only a reflection. It doesn't lead, it follows. You must feel the feeling of your desire now, and the world will echo it back to you. There is no power outside of you greater than the power within you. No condition, no circumstance, no lack can stand against the force of a man or woman who has claimed their destiny from within. So I ask you, how would you act if you had already made it? How would you dress? How would you speak? How would you carry yourself into every room? Live in that state. Sleep in it, breathe in it, and persist until the world must rise to meet your vision. Thank you. Imagination is not a fleeting daydream or a fanciful escape. It is the very soil in which the seeds of your reality are planted. Everything that you see, touch, and experience in the physical world began first in the unseen world of thought. Before it was visible, it was imagined. Before it took form, it existed in formless substance, held in place by the one who dared to believe in its possibility. To imagine is to create. It is not merely a passive mental activity, it is a deliberate act of creation. Your inner world is the blueprint. Your thoughts are the architects. Your emotions are the builders. And your assumption, your sustained conviction, is the energy that brings it all into form. Understand this, your outer world is always an echo of your inner state. You do not perceive reality as it is. You perceive it through the lens of who you believe yourself to be. That belief, whether empowering or limiting, is shaped and solidified by what you consistently imagine. You may not be conscious of it, but you are always imagining. Every time you worry, you're rehearsing a future you don't want. Every time you dwell in regret, you're reactivating a past that no longer exists. And every time you hold a vision of your ideal life with clarity and conviction, you are calling it into being. Imagination is not a tool to use only when you feel inspired. It is the engine of life itself. When you use it consciously, deliberately, and persistently, you become the author of your story, rather than the victim of your circumstances. The future is not something you wait for, it is something you create, moment by moment, image by image, feeling by feeling. There is a hidden key that unlocks the doors to every desire, every goal, every longing of your heart. And that key is Assumption. To assume is to claim without question. It is not to beg or to plead or to ask timidly. It is to know. To occupy the inner state of fulfillment before a single shred of evidence appears. Assumption is the invisible bridge that connects where you are now to where you long to be. Your senses may argue, your logic may protest, the world around you may show you lack, limitation, or contradiction. But assumption does not wait for confirmation. It creates it. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you enter into a new state of being. You do not pretend, you do not fantasize, you dwell in the consciousness of already having. And that state, once fully occupied, becomes your new identity. You are no longer someone who wants, you are someone who is. And as you persist in this inner knowing, the outer world, though it may resist at first, must yield. It must rearrange itself. People must be moved. Conditions must shift, and doors must open to reflect the new state you now occupy. Assumption is not magic, it is law. Just as gravity does not care if you understand it or believe in it, this creative law works whether you are conscious of it or not. But when you become conscious, when you assume deliberately and consistently, you begin to direct the course of your life with intention and power. If you assume lack, struggle, or failure, you will live in the shadow of that belief. But if you assume abundance, love, success, and wholeness, and you feel as though it is already yours, you will watch reality shape itself to match the inner conviction you've dared to hold. You do not need to force the world to obey your desire. You simply need to become the person who already has it. Think as they would think. Feel as they would feel. Walk as they would walk. Speak from your desire, not every time you return to that state within yourself, when you close your eyes and feel the reality of your dream as if it were already alive, you strengthen the bridge. And the more real it becomes inside, the sooner it must appear outside. So let go of waiting, let go of watching the clock or searching for signs. Instead, assume the role. Step into the feeling, wear it like a second skin. Because what you assume with persistence, life must make real. You don't attract what you want, you attract who you are being. Desire alone is not enough. Wishing, hoping, and wanting, these are mere flickers of light compared to the blazing fire that is emotion. Emotion is the true activator of creation. It is not the thought alone that manifests, it is the feeling behind the thought that gives it life. You may say you want abundance, love, health, or freedom, but if you are constantly feeling lack, loneliness, sickness, or fear, then those are the seeds you are watering. Life does not respond to words, it responds to vibration. And your emotion is the vibration you are sending out in every moment. Motion is energy in motion. It is the frequency you broadcast into the invisible field of consciousness, and it determines what is drawn back to you. Just like a magnet cannot help but pull in that which matches its charge, you cannot help but attract circumstances, people, and experiences that reflect your dominant emotional state. This is why it is not enough to merely think positively. You must feel the reality of what you desire. You must emotionally inhabit the state of your wish fulfilled. If you want to experience love, then you must become the embodiment of love. Feel loved, feel loving, feel worthy. If you desire success, then cultivate the feelings of confidence, accomplishment, and purpose now, not later. This is the grand paradox of manifestation. You must feel now what you hope to feel then. You must bring the end into the present moment, not by force, but by feeling. Emotion collapses time. It brings the unseen into the seen, the imagined into the real. You may think you are waiting for circumstances to change so you can feel better, but the truth is, your circumstances are waiting on you. They are waiting on you to shift your emotional baseline to become from within the person who already has what they desire. Are you emotionally aligned with your dream or with your doubt? Your answers will tell you everything about the reality you are currently shaping. To master your life, you must master your emotional state, not by suppressing, but by choosing. Choose the emotion that aligns with your vision. Choose joy even before there is a reason. Choose faith even when there is no evidence. Choose the feeling of success before the world applauds it. Because when you become the emotional equivalent of your desire, life begins to move. The people, the opportunities, the resources, everything begins to organize itself around your inner shift. Emotion is the signal. Emotion is the fuel. Emotion is the magnet. Your consciousness creates, your assumptions shape, your inner state projects itself outward and becomes the world you walk through. Too often we give our power away. We wait for things to change out there before we feel empowered, worthy, successful, or loved. We point to others and say, they did this to me, or they're holding me back. But this is illusion. No person, no condition, no system has creative power in your world unless you assign it to them. You are the one who imagines, you are the one who feels, you are the one who assumes. And by divine law, your inner world must reflect itself in the outer. Not sometimes, every time. This is not about controlling others or forcing outcomes. It is about mastering yourself, your attention, your reactions, your beliefs. It is about recognizing that every time you shift your consciousness, you shift your reality. If you want something to change, you do not beg the world, you do not plead with circumstances, you return to the only place where real power lives, within. You are the dreamer of the dream. You are the author of the script. You are the light that casts the shadow called reality. It is your self-concept, your habitual inner state that defines experience. If you believe you are abundant, life mirrors abundance. If you see yourself as unworthy, life will echo that back. Not because life is judging you, but because it is obeying you. There is no one to change but self. There is no force to fight but your own assumptions. And there is no delay but the time it takes for you to step into your true identity. When you accept this, the game changes. You stop chasing results and you begin embodying the cause. You stop reacting to life and you begin creating it consciously. Your life is your reflection. If you want to see a new world, become the new self. And watch as reality bends in reverence to the one who finally remembered, I am the cause, I am the power, I am the source. To act as if is to know, not to try. Certainty within is followed by certainty without. Faith is not wishful thinking. It is not passive hoping or desperate pleading. It is not sitting in the waiting room of life, asking quietly if your dream might someday arrive. Faith is feeling. Faith is knowing. Faith is the substance of the unseen, the evidence of what the senses have yet to confirm. When you truly understand faith, you stop asking, when will it happen? And you start declaring, it is done. You stop checking the outer world for validation, and you begin living from the inner conviction that your desire is already yours. To act as if is not to pretend, it is to embody. It is to take the position of the one who already is, not the one who is still trying. You walk in the assumption of the wish fulfilled. You carry yourself with the energy of the one who no longer needs to ask, because they already know. When you act in faith, you are not hoping something will happen. You are moving in the consciousness that it already has. And because consciousness is the only creative power, life cannot help but reflect the image you are holding within. The world is a mirror, and mirrors do not lead, they follow. If you are hoping, you are doubting. You are still giving your attention to the absence, not the presence of what you desire. But if you feel it real, if you feel the joy, the peace, the certainty of already having it, then you are living from the end. And when you live from the end must come into view. This is the sacred art of assumption. You do not wait for results before you believe. You believe, and then the results appear. But belief, true belief, is not a mental trick, a feeling state. You can only hold what you first embody. You can only receive what you have already accepted as yours within. So ask yourself, how would you feel if your desire were already fulfilled? Calm, confident, grateful, free. You're not trying to become. You are remembering who you already are. You're not climbing toward your dream. You are aligning with it. Let the feeling of faith be your home. Let it guide your words, your actions, your posture, your decisions. And when doubt knocks, do not entertain it. Return to the knowing. Return to the feeling. And because you have assumed the end, because you have lived in the feeling of its fulfillment, because you have known it as true, it must now appear. There is a silent force that moves mountains, bends reality, and draws the invisible into the visible. And that force is persistence. Persistence is not desperation. It is not repetition born out of fear or doubt. True persistence is inner conviction sustained over time. It is the refusal to abandon your vision, no matter what the outer world appears to say. It is belief in motion. If you believe something is true, you remain loyal to it, even when everything around you seems to contradict it. That is persistence. And that persistence is the greatest sign of genuine belief. You see, belief is not tested in moments of ease, it is revealed in moments of contrast. When the world throws shadows of delay, denial, or resistance, do you retreat? Or do you remain anchored in the unseen truth you have chosen to dwell in? What you persist in internally must eventually harden into fact. This is not fantasy, it is law. The world is not fixed, it is flexible, it is clay in the hands of your inner state. But it does not always move instantly. The moment you assume a new identity, a new self-concept, reality begins to shift. but like the turning of a great ship, the movement may not be immediate to the eye. That is where most fall short. They abandon the assumption too soon. They let appearances deceive them. But if you persist, quietly, faithfully, without strain, the world has no choice but to catch up. When you persist in the assumption that you are already what you desire to be, you lock yourself into a state. And all states, when lived in long enough, externalize themselves. Every condition you've ever lived through, good or bad, was the child of some persistent inner state. You are not waiting on life to change. Life is waiting on you to persist. Your job is not to force the outcome. Your job is to persist in the assumption of the outcome. Feel it real, dwell in the end, and persist, not with anxious effort, but with quiet certainty. And the assumption you refuse to leave becomes the life you eventually live. So no matter what the world reflects, do not be shaken. Keep going, keep believing, keep embodying the version of you who already has it. Persistence is proof that your belief is alive. And when belief is alive, manifestation is inevitable. As you stand on the threshold of your own creation, remember that you hold within you the power to shape your reality. Every thought, every feeling, every assumption is an act of creation. You are the operant power in your life, and through persistence, faith, and the power of imagination, you can transform your world. So, act as if, persist in belief, and embody the emotions that align with your desires. When you do, you will see that the outer world has no choice but to conform to the inner world you have consistently and consciously created. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your willingness to remember the power that lies within you. The journey has already begun. Now it's up to you to step fully into it. Thank you.